It's funny, when I was traveling and doing CrossFit, the director of my department, he asked me one day, hey, we have this job in West Virginia. It's like the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, an oil project. And he's like, are you interested in this project? I can send you there right away. And I always Google, like, is there a gym there, a CrossFit gym? And there was nothing. I was like, no, I can't go. He's like, what? And I was like, there's no gyms in the, he's like, you're serious? I told him, I was like, don't put me on a project anywhere if there's no type of gym.
Erin Clymer is an IFBB professional bodybuilder and owner of Species Gym in Texas City. She graduated from Troy University with a scholarship in track and field before starting her career in oil and gas. It didn't take long though before she decided to take the leap into fitness full time in June of 2022. She is here today to share her experience of transitioning from track and field to CrossFit and now to IFBB Pro. We also discuss how she was able to stay committed during her working career and how her views of fitness have changed over time. Welcome to Only the Greatest Podcast. If you're feeling stuck and unsure what to do next in your fitness journey, we might be what you're looking for. My name is Philip. I own and operate OTG Fitness, which is a private personal training gym on the south side of Houston in Webster. I do this podcast every week with my best friend, Daryl. We've been friends since third grade and working out together ever since. Also joining us today will be Sean. He's the one that makes this podcast not only sound great, but look good as well. Our goal here is to help Houston make its way up the ladder of health and fitness. So if you're in the Houston area and ready to become the greatest version of yourself, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Erin, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Not a problem. You own Species Gym down in Texas City, and it's crazy because me and Sean have talked about this really since we have a mutual contact that goes to my gym, and we were chatting and I was telling Sean about you and the gym, and we just started reminiscing like about our childhood because we're both from Texas City, and it's just crazy. I remember running, and I heard Sean talking about riding his bike, down in that area. And so even before we kind of get into the topic of conversation today, what or how, I guess, did you pick that location? Are you from Texas City area? Like where did that whole thing come from, and how did you decide on that location down there?
We were kind of exploring a couple of different areas in the Southeast. I'm actually originally from Alabama.
Okay.
A lot of the Texas towns in the area I'm not super familiar with, except the direct area of kind of the Clear Lake area where I've been living for a while. Mm-hmm. But we started looking places like League City, but League City has some big gyms. And we were looking at like Dickinson and all those places, kind of Clear Lake area, Friendswood. And we looked at Texas City, and we felt it was a really underserved area regarding fitness or gyms. Mm-hmm. They just had Planet Fitness, World Gym, which is your big corporate gym.
And it's way kind of out of the way as well to get to World Gym. And the funny thing about Texas City is it's kind of like out of the way. So you have the city limit of Texas City, but then you have where people actually live, which are completely different things.
Exactly.
And so to get to World Gym, because I used to go to World Gym when I lived in Texas City a long time ago. I lived in Texas City when World Gym first opened. Mm-hmm. And I remember going up there and like walking up the escalator before the escalators were working and like peeking, because everybody in Texas City was talking about it. Like, oh, this new gym. And we would walk up there, and me and my friend Daryl, who would usually be on the show, but he's working a turnaround right now. So he's not here. But I remember we would walk up there and just look around, and we were just so pumped and excited. But it's definitely a little bit of a drive.
Yeah, it's not in the most convenient spot. It's like this weird loop-de-loo. You have to drive with the frontage roads to get to it. Mm-hmm. But they're a successful gym. I mean, the expansion they've done is massive. So they're our main competitor for sure. But when we were looking at Texas City, the real estate was much more affordable. When we were looking at League City, so my fiance, Derek, is a commercial real estate agent. So
that helps.
Yes, and he did all the negotiations for us and got a great deal. But League City, we're looking at $1.80 per square foot.
I know.
And it's just insane. We looked at Texas City, it's significantly cheaper. And we're like, okay, so we can get a bigger building, much more affordable, and there's no warehouse gyms in Texas City. Or, in the next thing would be Dickinson or Galveston.
Which is really a drive.
Yeah.
Really out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we thought it was a great opportunity. And Texas City, I believe, is one of the fastest growing cities in Texas right now. There's so much land out there, and some new neighborhoods are already being developed. The ground has been broken. So we're foreseeing, a couple of years down the road, some good growth from these neighborhoods being built only a few minutes from our location.
I definitely will say that I feel like every time I go to Texas City, something new is popping up. And I don't go all that often. Once again, you kind of have to go out of your way to get there. But once you're there and you're set. So I can definitely see what you're talking about with the development, because every time I do get on there, which is, at least a few times a year, something's popping up. They got a Chick-fil-A. And then I remember when they built Planet Fitness, I was like, what is going on? And when I lived in Texas City, remember when they built Starbucks in Texas City?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
That was like
huge.
the first thing.
Yeah,
this is probably...
It's from the Outland. It's like, oh man, we got shiny toys from
this
beyond.
Is probably, oh man, 12 or 13 years ago.
This is a long time ago.
They're getting a Waffle House now, apparently.
Oh,
Everybody's very excited about it.
Oh, there's so much craziness going down there for sure. So I could imagine the growth. And how many square feet is the gym? Speaking of,
the entire building is 27,000 square feet.
Wow.
The actual gym space where the equipment is a little over 21,000 square feet. So we have a small reception area. We have our restrooms with the lockers and the showers. And then we have a second floor that has not been built out yet, which we have a lot of plans for that second floor. We just haven't built it out yet.
Okay.
Something fun we'll do down the road.
Do you have plans of doing that soon, or are you waiting until it's necessary?
It's more funds.
Okay.
We just didn't have the funds at build out to complete the second floor. It's mostly aesthetics. It's not gonna be too bad. It's really cool up there. This building was built in 1962, and it's got original wood floors up there and brick walls. We can make it look really cool, but we have plans for a big posing room and some other perks for our members.
That was the first thing that I thought of when you said when you said the cool floors and stuff. I was like, man, what about a posing room? Because I know you guys probably do a lot of bodybuilding down there.
Yeah, I do get a lot of requests from our members for a posing room.
Okay.
And most of my members don't even know we have a second floor.
Oh, really? You can't openly see it, or?
Well, the door to get upstairs is in our little break room where we have a fridge and a microwave. And a lot of our members don't really go in there a whole lot unless they need to heat up some food. So they don't know that there's some stairs to go up there unless they actually go in the break.
You have to go out of your way to kind of find it. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I was really interested in Texas City. Obviously, that's where I'm from, so I wanted to kind of know all that stuff. But I figured now we can go ahead and get into the bread and butter of what we want to talk about, which is you, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about, you said you're from Alabama, right? So we got that out of the way. Why don't you tell us about how you started with fitness, though? Like when you started, why you started, how you got started, what did that look like?
Well, I guess just like most parents, they threw me into sports as a young kid, and I was just one of those kids who stuck with it throughout their life. I had a full ride in college in track and field, and after I graduated college, I wasn't really sure what to do with myself. I did some training with running groups for like 5Ks and 10Ks, did that for a little while, and then eventually I was introduced to CrossFit, which was really helpful for me when I traveled from my job in oil. And I would join a CrossFit gym every time I was relocated for a project, because I was working on a project basis throughout the country. And I would just join a new CrossFit gym every project. And it was great because I would just instantly make friends. And that community was really nice, and they would show me around town and stuff like that. So I did CrossFit for a good 4 years. And then towards the end of doing CrossFit, I was getting older and wasn't really worried about, how to explain it. I didn't really care about how many pull-ups I could do or any of that. I was like, I just want to have a nice body.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't quite getting the body I wanted out of CrossFit. So I was introduced to bodybuilding and I started training with my coach twice a week. I actually started with him to help me with CrossFit. And then I just fell in love with bodybuilding and I was like, sayonara, CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like
it just turned to more of the aesthetic piece is what started interesting you more.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. As I was getting older, I was like, I just want to look.
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing.
But hey, I'm still fit. Like, I'm very fit as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Still do my cardio and everything like that.
Yeah. And I have a couple of questions on that for sure. But even before then, was CrossFit your first introduction to weightlifting, or were you weightlifting back in high school and college?
I would say we did weightlift in high school and college. But as far as my interest in weightlifting was probably CrossFit.
Okay.
I did it in college. I started gaining interest, but I really was only allowed to weightlift, when our coaches said. I couldn't just go train extra if I wanted to, because our regiment for training for track and field was very structured by the coaches. No, you can't go.
Yeah, it's all performance based.
Exactly.
Yes, on the track.
Exactly. Yeah. So even if I was interested in weightlifting in college, I wasn't going to be allowed to go do too much additional training unless, without the coach's permission.
Yeah.
Because they had an idea of, okay, this is our goal for the next couple of months. And
this is the volume that you're allowed to do in the weight room, because you have to also hit this amount of volume on the track.
Exactly.
And then sometimes those things can butt heads with each other.
I couldn't go add extra hamstring curls in the machine because the next day we were, running 400s and 800s, and they don't want my hamstrings fried from the day before.
Performance and then also risk of injury from overload and all these different things. Well, my main question, transitioning from CrossFit to bodybuilding and also from just college in general working out and performance-based from track and field, the biggest difference, and for anyone that's listening to this that's not familiar with bodybuilding, the first thing that stands out to me is the nutrition part, right? So I'm very curious, how was your nutrition in high school and college? How did that transition when you got to CrossFit? I know in CrossFit, they're big on the paleo stuff. And then going from CrossFit to bodybuilding obviously is a major nutritional, change up. So how'd you handle that? And tell me a little bit about that.
Actually, now that you're asking, thinking about it, it's quite a journey high school, there was no nutrition. It was eat 3 meals a day and whatever I was kind of fed. I had no idea what nutrition was. Did
you grow up in a household that, you said sports, but what about like health in general? Was that a big thing in your household as a kid?
Not necessarily. It's not that we ate really balanced meals.
That's good.
My mom would make sure we had a protein and a carb and veggies, but my mom wasn't a huge cook. It was a lot of canned vegetables and stuff like that, but it was all delicious to me. I do remember as a senior in high school, playing basketball, I was on the varsity team, and the training on varsity basketball was really intense, and we had late night practices, and our coach ran us into the ground. And I remember getting home one night, and my mom didn't make dinner. She's like, just make a sandwich or something. And I had a complete meltdown because my mom hadn't made dinner in a long time, and I was just like, I'm starving. You don't make dinner anymore. I need food. I'm exhausted. And I just had this complete meltdown because felt like I wasn't getting fed. That was probably the first time as an athlete where I truly felt I wasn't getting what I needed. And my poor mom, she just started cooking every night after that. I really freaked her out. I think that was the first time, where I felt like, I was like, oh, my body needs more.
Sure.
Had to serve the hangry teens.
It really was. College, you would think you would get more nutrition advice from your coaches, or there would be people on staff. Now, I was a Division 1A athlete, but I don't remember ever getting any nutrition advice in college as an athlete, which is, looking back, is interesting. So, we got our free meals in the cafeteria, and I was definitely one of those freshmen, like you put on your freshman 15 a little bit, but fortunately it wasn't too bad for me because running track, we're just shedding it like crazy.
A lot of burn.
Yeah. But I was eating cereal, like sugary cereal in the morning, and it was all you can eat waffles and everything. And I was eating like crazy, but it's probably a good thing, even though I wasn't following anything nutritionally. We were just burning so many calories running every day. The workouts were really intense. So probably was good. I was eating as much as possible, even if it wasn't that healthy.
Yeah, I can vibe with that because a lot of times when I'm talking to teenagers, teenage athletes, right? The big thing is eat. Just eat. Eat a lot.
I get that a lot.
I care less of what it is. You need to eat a lot because for your performance and the goals that you have, like teenagers, the teenage boys especially, they want to be big, right? They want to be bigger.
I see it every day at the gym.
You ask them what they eat, and they're like, "Well, I went to I ate a double meat Whataburger and a large fry, and then I had 4 Pop-Tarts for breakfast." And I was like, "Yeah, but that was like 7 hours ago." What else are you eating? And they're like, they don't understand the value of eating a lot of food,
I do try to encourage. We have a lot of teenagers at the gym because the high school is right down the street. I will say the teenagers are my favorite part of the gym.
Okay.
Which I don't know if there's many gym owners out there.
Probably.
I was going to say, I feel like that's an unpopular opinion almost.
No, they are my favorite part of the gym. Their personalities, they come in and they actually talk to me. I don't know if they think I'm cool or something. I don't know. But they come in, they hang out with me, they talk about their day with me. They're just awesome. They're hilarious.
High school?
High school.
Yeah,
These are high school. These teenagers, and so I get a lot of them asking me for nutrition advice. They're following guys like, what's that popular 21-year-old Sam Sulek? Is that his name?
Yeah,
so they're seeing this
yeah.
guy, and they're like, I want to be really big like him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, all right, guys, what are you eating? Now, number one, you're not going to go get as big as him.
That's right.
Yeah. That dude kind of eats like anything he wants, pretty much, and he's huge. But we all know why.
There's no hiding it.
Yeah.
But I always ask them, like, what are you guys eating? And it's just like you said, they're like eating Pop-Tarts or fast food, and not eating enough times a day.
That's
twice a day, maybe even the standard 3 times a day is not enough.
Not for them, because I agree 100%. What happens with them, in my opinion, is that they try to eat a lot, but they overstuff themselves so much with this food that doesn't digest. I'm big on digestion. So digestion is something that I'm really nerdy about, that I talk to people about, that I think is overlooked in our space, especially when it comes to body manipulation, weight loss or weight gain. You need to eat foods that digest well for you so you feel good enough to get out there and get the good workouts. But then also, so you don't feel so sluggish and weighed down, and it takes you 7, 8, 9 hours to get hungry again.
Exactly.
That's a big thing with the teenagers. They eat so much of this food that doesn't digest well, and now they eat it. They eat breakfast at 9, but they're not eating again until dinner.
Exactly.
And it's just a big problem.
And fortunately for the teenagers, they naturally have high metabolisms.
Yes.
And I explained to them, now, granted, teenagers, they're not looking at 10, 20 years down the road, but I do tell them, I'm like, look, enjoy your fast metabolism while you have it.
Yeah.
Because when you get to like my age, it's going to start slowing down, and you can't just eat 1-2 meals a day. I get a lot of people, a lot of our adults at the gym who come to me. They're grabbing their stomachs. They're like, how do I get rid of this tire? And the first thing I ask them is, how many meals a day are you eating? And these are grown people, and they're like 1 or 2 meals a day. That's all they're eating. And now I'm not a diet guru. I don't do diets for people, but I do have a lot of knowledge behind it, from doing my years of bodybuilding and my coach and learning from my coach. So I can give advice and I can explain how the metabolism works to my members. But I tell them, when you're only eating 1 to 2 times a day, your metabolism is probably shot. Every time you eat, your body is going into survival mode. So when you eat the food, your body holds on to it for dear life because it's like, oh shit, you're not going to feed me again for 8 to 10 hours. I need to hold on to this as long as possible. So the longer your body holds on to food, it turns into like that fat, especially around your stomach, that tire area that especially men struggle to lose. And so I explained to him, look, you got to eat,
regularly,
5 to 6 times a day. 5 is good, every 2 to 3 hours. And it could take like 2 weeks for your body to adjust. It's awful. I tell them like, you're going to be miserable your first 2 weeks eating every 2 to 3 hours. You're going to want to throw up. It's just awful. But if you stay consistent on it, your body will learn and adjust to it. So every time you eat, your body's going to be like, oh, you're going to feed me again in 2 hours. I'm just going to burn this off. And that's metabolism. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go into survival mode. So now you have high metabolism. I eat 6 meals a day. In my off season, I'm eating 4,000 calories a day in healthy food, in bodybuilding food. Like that's your chicken and rice and oatmeal, which is awful. Yeah. It's a lot of food.
Something that I see a lot of, and maybe you do as well, when people transition from highly processed foods with lots of saturated and added fats as well, they're shocked by how much food it actually takes to get to 2,000 calories, for example. It's a lot of food. Yep. If you're eating healthy, whole food, single ingredient items, 2,000 calories turns into a lot of food.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah. I've called my coach many times during off season, like, I can't do this.
Can't keep eating this much.
I stay fairly lean in my off season, even at 4,000 calories. My metabolism stays okay. I have to eat a lot of oatmeal in my off season to actually force my body to slow my metabolism down so I can put size on. But it's absolutely miserable to eat that much healthy food. I can eat 4,000 calories in pizza.
Easy.
Anytime.
Yeah, easy.
But when it's dried chicken and rice, it's awful. Yeah. I understand the pro bodybuilders that you see blending their chicken and veggies in a blender and they're drinking it. I've been tempted.
Oh, that sounds rough.
I've been tempted to try it because it's miserable to eat that much food.
I don't follow the bodybuilding world directly too much, but I have heard of that, and that sounds awful.
It looks awful.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could
so
do
nasty.
it. It really does.
Well, let's talk. Tell me about transitioning from, we kind of got off track a little bit, which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. We can do it again. But tell me about you. We talked a little bit about your college. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a lot of direction, and you're just eating a lot. When did you kind of snap a little bit into actually having some structure into your diet? Was that with CrossFit, or even in CrossFit, was it kind of similar to college?
It was during CrossFit. I actually met a bodybuilder. I was working on a project in Cleveland, Ohio, for about 8 months. And I joined a CrossFit gym there, and I met a woman at the gym who was also previously a bodybuilder. And she kind of introduced me to bodybuilding a little bit. We would go to the gym and train a little bit. And she showed me how you measure food. And so she kind of got me started in it. But it wasn't until, also before I met her, I did the paleo diet. Mm-hmm. I was not on meals like a bodybuilder, but I kind of avoided the foods paleo wanted you to avoid and whatnot. Paleo was very delicious because I was always baking the paleo desserts.
Okay.
To this day, I still like baking them. But the paleo diet was good. I think I caution people with the paleo diet of taking it too far with eating too much almond products because it can increase your estrogen.
Interesting.
All the almond milk. Don't drink all the almond milks and the almond muffins and all that. It does actually increase your estrogen a bit.
Wow.
So that's my only caution with the paleo diet. Everything needs to be in moderation. Mm-hmm. Don't overdo it with all the almond products. But I got really into it, obviously, in bodybuilding. Once I started working with my coach on diets, he just put me on a diet, and I loved it. I loved bodybuilding, dieting because of the structure of it. I'm a very structured person, and I can follow. You tell me what to do, I'm following it to the T. And it's just, I took to it very naturally.
And do you still, and now currently, so you're an IFBB professional bodybuilder at this point. So I'm assuming that you have an on season and an off season. Is that right?
Yes.
And how long does each one of those last?
It really depends on the goals from my coach and I. Right now, I would say I'm on my off season diet right now, even though I am in my off season. I'm getting married in a month, so I adjusted my diet to get a little bit leaner for fitting in the wedding dress and all that stuff. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Honestly, so my preps for a show is 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Which is really short for most bodybuilders. I hear a lot of bodybuilders doing 20 weeks, 30 weeks. I hear some people they're on prep all year. 10 weeks is max for me. On prep. After that, it's any time outside of that, it's typically off season.
I think you probably, by what you just said, I think you already answered my question, but I asked how long each one was because my follow-up question was going to be, do you stay this structured and rigid during the off season? My assumption is that you stay pretty close to that, which is what allows you to have a shorter preparation period. Exactly. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I would say I am a minimum of 85% on my off-season diet. Because my coach allows me some he'll give me my off-season diet and allows me leniency. If you want to have some fruit, that's fine. Or if you want to have an extra cheat meal that week, that's fine. Just let me know if you did anything extra. But for the most part, if I am in an off-season with the intention of going into a prep, eventually, I'm very strict because the idea is to put on as little fat as possible. It's going to happen when you're eating that much food, you're going to put some excess fat on. But you don't want to overdo it because that's where you have to do longer preps for a bodybuilding show. And the longer your prep is, the more likely you're going to lose more muscle. So we like 10-week preps because it's less time for me to lose muscle while I'm dieting down. I also don't have to do as much cardio. The more cardio you do, you're risking more muscle loss. So if I go into prep fairly lean, I'm not having to do like HIIT cardio where you'll see bodybuilders like running real fast on the cardio because they have some excess fat they got to get rid of really quickly while you're also going to get rid of muscle in addition. You see the bodybuilders who are just walking real slow on a treadmill in the gym. It's because we don't want our heart rates to go above around 140 because anything above 140 is you're looking at burning muscle.
Yeah, the possibility of a catabolic effect going on at that point.
So that's why I try to stay as lean as possible in my off season because I want a short prep. Yeah. Prep is miserable.
Yeah, I would imagine. But in my overarching takeaway here is that even in your quote unquote off season, you stay on track with your goal.
Yes.
Your off season is, you have purpose in it. It's not like some other people. And once again, I'm not super experienced in bodybuilding, so you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. But my assumption from the little bit that I know is that a lot of people, when they're in off season, they just do whatever they want. And then when it comes when it comes to on season, it's like, all right, time to turn it on. But that makes the turn on period that much more difficult.
It does. Yeah. The people who just do what they want, those are the ones who, they have to do longer preps. And my coach, we always, in off season, we have major goals. We want me to hit a certain weight. Typically in off season, we want me to hit about 225, 230. Now, remember, I'm 6'2". I am 6'2", so I actually hold that weight pretty well. I get big as hell, but we have typically a deadline that we want me to hit that goal weight of 225, 230. And then we want me to hold that weight for 3 to 4 months. We just keep me at that weight because we want the weight to mature. We want my body to want to be at that weight, if that makes sense, because we want the muscle and the size to mature. That way, when we go into prep and we're dieting down, it's not quite as easy to lose the size. So if I hit 225 and we just started dieting down right away, It's not matured, and I'm just going to lose a lot of my size progress. So if you ever think about, let's say the body that you're at right now is like, your body's like, this is where I like to be, right? And if you went on a cruise for a week, you party it up, you're eating, you're drinking, and you put some weight on, right? Well, when you come home and you get back on your regular schedule of eating and whatnot, your body wants to go back to this weight because your body's like, this is where I'm happy.
Are you familiar with the term set point?
I'm not.
That's what.
Okay.
That's what that is. That's your set point.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll learn something.
Yeah.
So yeah, your body wants to get back to that set point.
Mm-hmm.
So my coach and I in off season, we're trying to create a new set point with that size we put on. Okay, we hit 225 or 230. We need to turn this into a set point, but it doesn't become a set point until it matures. So we have to give it 3 to 4 months to mature and become a set point so that when I go into prep, it's a little more difficult for the body to want to lose the maturity of the muscle and the size.
Yeah, that's very super interesting and very true. I agree 100%.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
From the set point's a theory. The set point theory says exactly what you just said, but I've just never heard it described in a maturity using those terms, you know. But and this is just a little off-topic question. I'm just curious. When you're going through that set point phase, what happens to your strength? Do you continue to get stronger during that? Are you trying to get stronger? Like what do you workout wise, what's going on there?
Honestly, whether I'm on prep or off season, I've always stayed very, very strong. That was one thing my coach always was really impressed with my body in particular. Even in prep, I stayed very, very strong. Strength is always a goal. The more weight I can move, the bigger I can get. I will say, so my best year in the gym where I was hitting PRs like crazy was 2020 during COVID. Like everything's shut down, right? Nobody had access to gyms, but I still had access to a gym.
Sure.
I was gonna say, you got the whole gym to yourself. You're able to go crazy.
Yeah.
I still had.
Me too.
So everything went crazy with bodybuilding shows, and they were getting shut down. They're trying to reschedule them, figure things out. We had already started me a prep for a show when everything was, starting to shut down, and my coach took me off everything. He's like, we're basically going into an off season and back into an off season until we know what's going on. That was the best year of my training. I was all natural through this training, but I was also not working. I lost my job. I was unemployed all of 2020. So all I was doing was eating, sleeping, and training. But I was sleeping. This is when I learned how important sleep is.
Ooh, I'm glad we're touching on this.
Oh my gosh. You hear about sleep being important, but I learned from experience because I wasn't working and we're all stuck at home. I was sleeping 10, 12, 14 hours a day sometimes. And when I say my strength skyrocketed, it was insane. I rack pulled 5 plates and a quarter for 8 smooth reps. I have it on video. I military pressed behind my head. This is free weight.
A barbell.
Yeah, which is a very dangerous movement. 2 plates, both ends. Wow. I wish we got it on camera, and nobody's going to even believe when they're listening to this podcast. They're like, she didn't do that. We didn't get it on camera. I managed to get, I think, about 3 or 4 reps, and then my coach had to step in.
Sure.
I scoured the internet. I haven't found a woman yet who has done that.
I can't say I've ever seen that.
It's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
It's a seriously dangerous.
Give you an applause on that one. That's insane.
So I have no proof. I'm sorry, everybody.
Well, but especially for something like that where, if you do it with a little bit of weight, it can be actually good for maybe mobility purposes and stuff like that. But loading up that much weight, getting into those low rep ranges on something like that, for sure. So maybe if you could have squeezed out another rep or 2, it's probably best that he stepped in and pulled you out of there.
It's such a dangerous movement. To this day, I won't do that movement anymore because I'm not training with my coach anymore.
Okay.
Or he does my diet and stuff like that, but I don't have access to him to train with him in the gym anymore. But I don't trust anybody to spot me.
you.
I have no way. There's just no way. Most people won't do that movement.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to spot correctly anyways, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
So my strength was just absolutely skyrocketing, and all we could think was the sleep I was getting. I was getting so much sleep. And I mean, I was all natural. I usually gain a little bit of strength when I start maybe a cycle as a bodybuilder. But it was nothing like the sleep I was getting.
I'm really glad that we covered that quickly, because I talk to people all the time about sleep, and then I already told you the other one was digestion. Those are the two things that, from whether it's you said I usually don't talk to about it in a performance standpoint, because a lot of times the people that I'm talking to are not really talking about performance as much. It's more like weight loss and feeling good and stuff like that.
Yep.
But getting stronger is important, right? Because if you have more muscle, it'll help you lose more weight and all those types of good things. But those two things that I think are dramatically overlooked when it comes to body composition changes: sleep, digestion.
Yep.
And I'm glad that, we kind of talked about each of those today. So that's really good stuff. But let's kind of change topics a little bit. You've been bodybuilding for how many years?
I started in 2016.
Okay. And when did you lose your job? You said 2019 or 20?
It was the beginning of 2020.
Okay. And what did you do? I know the gym opened in 2022. So what did you do for those 2 years? Or did you go back to work for a while?
So I went back to work 2021.
Okay.
And I worked for a year. And then I left that final oil job to pursue opening the
Species.
gym.
Okay, cool. All right. So now that I have that understanding, tell us about how you were able to stay committed. And I didn't know that you were traveling as well. So not only did you have a full-time job, but you're traveling, and you got your pro card in what year?
I got my pro card in 2020. I got it that it was
the year you were hitting all the sleep PRs.
It was.
It
really was.
Crazy.
I can't remember. It was December. I believe it was
End of 2020.
End of 2020.
Okay, so either way, you were all in on bodybuilding for at least a couple of years before you can get a pro card, right? So tell us about how you maintained the job and schedule and the traveling that you did while staying committed to bodybuilding.
Well, when I started bodybuilding, I was no longer traveling.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I traveled during CrossFit, and I don't remember what year it was, but I got a job in the main office of my company in Houston, and my boss loved me, and basically it's like, you're staying in the corporate office. And I was still doing CrossFit at the time, and then I transitioned into bodybuilding. I've been in Houston for quite a while, basically through my whole bodybuilding career. So fortunately, I didn't have to deal with travel as a bodybuilder, because that would have been horrible.
Right.
CrossFit was easier. What's funny, when I was traveling and doing CrossFit, the director of my department in the oil industry at our job, he asked me one day, he's like, hey, we have this job in West Virginia. It's like the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, an oil project. And he's like, are you interested in this project? I can send you there right away. And I always Google, like, is there a gym there, a CrossFit gym? Mm-hmm. And there was nothing. I was like, no, I can't go. He's like, what? And I was like, there's no gyms in that. He's like, you're serious?
Sorry, boss.
Like,
yeah, make it.
I told him, like, don't put me on a project anywhere if there's no type of gym.
I love it.
That's a fair request. Very fair request.
And he's like, all right, well, I guess I'll have to look it up before.
I thought you were saying, I guess I'll have to let you go.
No, he said, he's like, well, I guess I'll have to make sure there's a gym in the area before I consider you for the project. I was like, yeah, that's right. It's important. Yeah. That's how, committed, even though it was just CrossFit. I wasn't a serious CrossFitter. I did, competitions.
But it was serious to you.
It was. Yeah. It was my life, or fitness and staying active is a huge part of me. So I was not going to go to a project for several months.
And my next question was, how long are projects? Yeah.
It depends on the length of the pipeline. So I work basically in pipeline. So oil companies would hire my company to I was in what's called right-of-way.
Okay.
Right-of-way agents do the negotiations with the landowners to buy an easement to put in their property. So a pipeline project could be 5 miles long. It could be 500 miles long. So it could range from, I've been on projects that were 3 months long, and I've been on projects that were 5 years long.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
But when you started, like you said, when you started bodybuilding, you didn't have to worry about this.
No, my longest projects were here in Houston.
Okay.
I worked on the project. Do you recall they're building the bridge across Kima right now?
Yes.
So a several year project I was on was we laid 2 pipelines along the existing bridge, and then we had to come back and move them.
Oh, geez.
Because TxDOT came out, we're building this big bridge, and we had to move the pipeline.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, that was a long
Yeah,
project.
and there's always something in construction. It's always something for sure. But so you were in the office for 40 hours a week.
Yeah, pretty standard. Yeah.
Okay, and you lived, and this was in downtown.
I was up in the energy corridor.
Okay, but you lived down here.
Yes.
So you had a nice drive to work.
No, well, at the time I was living kind of in the energy corridor.
You were living up there.
And then at some point I moved to Webster with my fiance and made the drive.
Okay.
And then, that my final year in oil, it was a really long drive, and that's when I started getting miserable.
Yeah.
This is no longer a career; it's a job that I was not enjoying.
Sure. Similar situation happened to me. It was just, so many things are going on. I was loving fitness. I actually started personal training on the side, just to make a little extra money. But eventually I enjoyed doing that more than I liked going to work. And I did some rental stuff. So I was, on my lunch break, I was like more interested in what I'm doing on my computer for my own personal things versus work. And then, those things kind of accumulate over time, and eventually you're just dreading going in, and you just want to do your own thing. So I can definitely relate. But tell us about how you stayed on track with the diet part. That's what I'm most interested in with full-time job, traveling. Well, you didn't have to worry about traveling as much, but still a long drive to work for almost a whole year. What does it take to stay on track from nutrition-wise during a time period like that?
I think as a bodybuilder, it's pretty easy when you have a coach who's telling you what to eat, for one, because you kind of put it in your coach's hands, like your nutrition. I didn't have to make a lot of decisions for myself, or I would ask him a million questions a day. I drove him nuts, I'm sure. So I wanted a better understanding of, why are we doing this? Why are we eating that? Or what does this do to my body? And he was great. He would always explain everything really well, but he would tell me what to eat, and I just stuck to it. I wanted the results. So in bodybuilding, if you're not strict, you're not going to see the results. And the important thing for coaches when they give you a diet, I tell a lot of, we have some new bodybuilders at my gym who are entering the sport, and they're starting with their coaches. And I tell them, look, it's really important that whatever your diet is that your coach gave you for that week, you eat it to the T. You don't add anything in. Because when you send your updated photos at the end of the week, they're looking at your body to see if they got the results they wanted out of the diet they gave you. And if you threw something extra in there a couple of times, and your coach is looking at you like, I didn't quite get what I thought I would out of the diet this week. So what's going to happen is your coach is going to make adjustments to your diet that might be counterproductive, because he's not aware that you cheated a little bit, that you had a beer, or that you threw in some fruit or whatever. So I tell them, stick to it to the T so that the results are accurate, and he can make adjustments accordingly. Because if he sees the pictures and he's happy, he's like, okay, we're going to do another week on this diet and see how it goes. Or he might not get the results he wants and makes minor changes to get what he's looking for. But you're going to throw your coach for a loop if you don't stick to it.
Yeah. Once again, I'm not super familiar with bodybuilding. From my perspective, working with clients, a lot of times the drill that I have them do is just, I'll give them a little journal, and hey, I want you to go home for the next 7 days. I want you to write the date at the top of the page. I want you to write down what time it is down the side. And I want you to write down what you eat.
Yep.
So we can start building some awareness. And the things that we're looking for is what you eat. So you write it down, how much you eat, have them take some pictures, and then how often you eat. Time. So I want to see the times, right? And this drill is strictly for awareness. I have them do it for 1 week, and then we talk about it.
That kind of dieting gives me anxiety.
Does it?
It does.
Well,
Listening to it gives me such anxiety, honestly.
Well, this is step one to getting to more structure, right? Because, not everyone's, what I've learned is not everyone's as disciplined as you are, or as I am, or as any, right? People come from different levels, right? So this is a way to, no matter where someone's coming from, we can get them down to step one, right? But what I always tell them is to kind of back up what you were saying is that I need you to be honest.
Yeah.
If you eat something and you don't write it down, not only are you lying to yourself, but you're lying to me. And now when you don't get the results that we're looking for, then I don't know how to help you.
Yeah.
I can't help you because I don't know what's going on. Especially if you say that you're doing it and then you just read, or this is what I did, but you're not losing weight or gaining weight, or your body composition is not changing, whatever the case may be. I don't know what to do. Now I'm confused. Yeah. As a nutrition coach, as your nutrition coach, I'm confused. And when I'm confused, that's not good. And if I can't figure out what's going on,
that gives me such anxiety.
Yeah.
Giving clients a little bit of freedom, always the way my coach does it, it's super strict. He's like, this is what you're eating, and that's it. Yeah. And one of my gym members, one of my friends, she's getting into bodybuilding for the first time, and her coach has a different way of doing things, and she was showing me her diet, and it's pretty close to what I do, but he gives her a little more leniency. If you don't want to eat this, you can eat that. And I'm just
okay, they have an option too.
I do. I see that a lot with other bodybuilding coaches, with a lot of people, not just her and her coach, where coaches give them options. If you don't want rice, you can have potatoes. Or if you don't want chicken, you can have beef. And I'm like, they do different things.
You're just like, no,
you shouldn't have options. Yeah. Every coach has their way of doing things. But it's a reality that different foods, your body responds to different foods differently. Or they do different things. But I do tell people this too. Whatever stage your body is in, it can respond differently to certain foods, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes sense to me.
When I was early in my bodybuilding career, I could not eat rice. My coach tried giving me white rice, and I held white rice naturally makes you hold water, and it really made me hold water. I was not comfortable. I would get so much water in my lower back. You would get those kinks, and you felt like your back was hurting. My body hated rice, but I also didn't have a lot of muscle at the time. I was still new to bodybuilding, but a few years down the road, I had significant more amount of muscle, and now that's all my body wants is rice. Yeah, it's just I can't get enough rice. And I don't hold nearly as much water as I used to. I don't know if it's something with having all that additional muscle. It's just so
all the additional muscle for sure your body already has more water in it already, right? And another one too, and I don't know, maybe this is true for you, maybe it's not, but what I've noticed for myself and in some people as well is whether you're in a deficit or a surplus, the foods can affect you differently too, especially fiber. Like when you're in a surplus and you go with a lot of high fiber, like potato, sweet potato, some people like brown rice, a lot of fruit as well. When you're in a surplus, sometimes that much fiber just doesn't do well for you. But when you're in a deficit, you need fiber really helps you and you feel better, your digestion's better and things like that. So another example there. What about whenever you transition to fitness as a career though? So you quit your job in 21 or right before you opened the gym?
Good question. So I left my job the end of 2021. I believe it was December. Okay. Put in that notice. So I think when people are really passionate about something in their life, it's just natural for them to want to share it with other people. And it could be anything, whatever your hobby is that you're super passionate about, whether it's horses or art or whatever, you just want to share it with the world when you're that passionate about it. And so it just was really natural for me to want to get into the gym, opening a gym and sharing that with people wanting to improve their lives, whether it's they're wanting to improve their mental fitness, their physical fitness, or their aesthetics. I love helping people on their journeys, no matter what it is in the gym.
Was it easy for you to put in that notice?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Oh man, that's pretty rare.
Yeah. Well, I will say my final year in oil, it just felt like a job. It didn't. There was a time that it was my career, and I really, really enjoyed what I did. It was an interesting job. But that final year, I was like, this just feels like a job, and I don't see myself doing this long term anymore. But I could see myself in fitness long term and helping people with their goals, because I was already kind of doing it at the gym when I would go train, and people would approach me and ask me for. I wasn't a coach, but people saw me training, and they would ask me advice, and I started taking on a couple of clients here and there training, and it's the best thing.
Yeah. Did you have like your whole business plan figured out when you decided to make this move? How did opening up Species Gym, like when did that come into play? Did you take like a year maybe, or was it immediate? Did you quit your job with no plan, or like what's up?
So my coach is the creator of Species Gym.
Okay.
And we had talked. He had always wanted me to open a gym with him because I had been his client since before he opened the first location. And I really believed in what Species Gym was. And so we had discussed opening one together. And I told him I was ready. And we just went from there. My fiance's commercial real estate, and Kyle is just like, go find the building and pick your location and all of that. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. When I first opened, I did not have a commercial real estate agent to help me, and it was terrible. I had quit my job, signed a lease, had no clue, and I have a couple of rental houses that I had prior to that. So I thought that I don't need a real estate, I could do this on my own.
Yeah.
And it was bad. And
what, did you go into a bad lease?
Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. I did get at least I got one thing figured out that was bad about it, which was the air conditioner situation. So I kind of got some verbiage in there to help me out with that stuff. Which is good because I'm kind of dealing with that right now as we speak, which is kind of weird. But basically what happened was I signed a lease on a property that had not been occupied in a few years, and it was just far from up to code. And I didn't know. I didn't know about code. I didn't know about certificate of occupancy. I didn't know about inspections and all this stuff.
All a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. So basically, once I learned about all this stuff, I'm in there, I'm kind of cleaning it, and it was a wreck. And I had to knock down walls. I had to scrape floors. The ceiling tiles all needed to be replaced. We had to put up all kinds of stuff. But anyways, fire marshal and inspector come in, and they're just like, no way. Sorry, bro.
Did you do it on your own? You didn't have a contractor, or
I did I did, but
after the fire marshal showed
exactly.
up?
After all that stuff. Yeah, after all that stuff. Because otherwise I had guys that I knew from the residential side, right? And they're like, yeah, I told them everything that I wanted to do, and they're like, yeah, not a problem. But I just didn't know how bad of condition that the unit was in, right? And so the worst part was the inspector wouldn't sign off because we didn't have a sprinkler system.
Oh, that's the worst. We had to do that with ours.
And so you had to install a sprinkler system? Oh my goodness.
Our building was built in 1962. I don't know if I said that earlier, but it was not to code in any manner, not ADA, not fire.
Yeah.
And when our building is 27,000 square feet, the fire sprinkler, that was major on the budget.
That's a huge budget item. And for us, we're in a multi-unit complex. So it actually, what happened in our situation, I ended up having to hire an architect for 2 reasons. One was that one, and he found a loophole in the city of Webster code that because of something with the way the layout was and we could get to the exit fast enough, we ended up being able to bypass that. So it was saving grace because the landlord was like, nope, sorry. But basically, we got grandfathered in because the building was built before it was in the code.
So, yeah, we were told we were going to be grandfathered.
Oh, okay.
But the city is like, no, I mean, technically you could be, but no.
It's probably just because it was too big. That was your problem there. We're in 4,000 square feet. It's a personal training studio. Mm-hmm. So the size of your building, I'm sure, is what swayed that decision. But either way, what I was getting at is my situation was way different and it was very difficult. But it sounds like everything worked out for you, even though that budget item got messed up. Everything went pretty smooth
build out was, I will say, because of the size of the project, we had to have a contractor. We got this amazing contractor. They came in and they had us done in 12 weeks. It was amazing. That is we had some major concrete walls that had to be blown out and re-supported. All our bathrooms are completely brand new. They had to dig the plumbing in the concrete. Now, the concrete in the building is from the 60s. They don't make concrete like they used to. The giant machine that they push with the blade to make the cuts for the plumbing, they were going through several blades a day. That concrete was just destroying their blades. They were constantly breaking. It was unbelievable. They said it was unbelievable how many blades they had to go through because that's how solid the concrete was from the 60s. So brand new bathrooms, blowing out the walls, the sprinkler system, everything it was this massive ordeal. And I'm trying to think of what else we had to do. We had a lot of windows that we sealed. We probably had about 20 massive windows that were cut into the concrete. And so we sealed all the windows except for our powerlifting room. And because we needed them for mirrors. Mm-hmm. So, and we sealed up one of the bay doors. There was a bay door where our dumbbells are, and we completely sealed that. People were like, there was a bay door here? I was like,
you can't even tell they did a good job.
Can't even tell.
Wow.
It's just a huge undertaking. No, our contractor was amazing. Did it in 12 weeks. I kind of rushed them. I think they might have wanted to push for like 13 or 14 weeks, but
it's always a battle. It's always a battle.
I released an opening date. And I think when my contractor saw that, he's like, oh, shit.
Put the pressure on them.
I did a little bit. But, man, they came through for me. They really put in the hours to get the place done for me.
He's like scrolling through Instagram. Oh, shit, goddamn it.
And the thing is, too, when you own a business, there's a lot you have to think about. So, Derek, when he negotiated our lease, we got 8 months of free rent.
Wow. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Nice. And so, when we put the down or payment down, we actually paid for our first 2 months. Mm-hmm. So we actually ended up with not 10 months of free rent, but we had already prepaid 2 months, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So when construction started, I was like, I want this done quickly because the sooner we can open, the longer we have to build membership so we can have enough membership to meet rent, right? Mm-hmm. When we start rent. So that's why I really was putting a clock on my contractor, because every additional month we could have to be open.
Every week, every day.
Yeah. Every day, seriously, to build membership before rent starts. It's, you really have to think about these things.
And looking back now, how do you feel about the way the process went? Are you satisfied with it? Do you think it could have been better? Do you think that it was over the top amazing? Like, how do you feel about it now?
I think it all went real smooth, honestly. It was very important. Now, I was the one who was on the ground. Kyle's just kind of, he's handling equipment and stuff like that. He's like, you handle the construction, because he lives real far away.
Okay.
So, and I only live 20 minutes from
Sure.
the gym. So I had to be proactive every day while my contractor was there watching things, because there were instances, let's say when they started to install the sprinkler system. Well, where I was going to hang a really large TV on the wall up above our dumbbells, they started putting in the sprinkler, but it was so low, it was right where my TV was going to be. I was like, whoa. Can we raise that? And they're like, okay. And they raised it 2 feet, so it wasn't right in front of my TV. And we have all this amazing artwork in the building. And I was there when HVAC was installing like this massive duct system that you can kind of see in the gym. And they were literally about to put it in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger's face. I was like, guys.
They don't pay attention to this stuff.
They don't.
Yeah, I know.
And so I feel bad for the HVAC people, because they were putting it below we have tons of iron beams along the ceiling. They were trying to put it underneath it, right? It's convenient. Well, I had to make them put it over. So it was this intricate stringing it through all the beams. Took them a lot longer to do what they had to. But I was like, guys.
You created an enemy that day.
Yeah,
For sure.
I did. Yeah. I was like, we can't, it's Arnold. We can't cover his face.
I know exactly what you mean. These guys that come in and do that, they just don't think about that stuff.
No, and it's not their job to.
Exactly.
It was my job to be there and making sure I'm paying attention to all these little details. Even we installed a drop ceiling in our reception room. And I realized where we were going to have the Stairmasters. Going to be.
Oh, yeah. You get very tall.
This.
You don't notice how tall you are on a Stairmaster until you put it in a standard height ceiling. You're like, this won't work.
So I told them, I was like, this is where the Stairmasters are going. Can you stop the drop ceiling right about here? And it was basically, it's like a cutout. Mm-hmm. But it's right by our front door, the entry door. So it's not like it looks bad or anything. But I had to catch these things, or I'm not going to be able to put the Stairmasters in here. So just anybody who's looking at owning or opening any type of business, be proactive during build out. If you're using a contractor, be there every day.
Yeah, you want to for sure have the best possible plan you can, and then just know that it's not going to go that way. So you still need to be ready to make these last minute adjustments, be hands-on, be proactive, like you're saying, make sure you're thinking ahead. Because a lot of times in these build outs and multiple things in life, one thing leads to another. Yep. So you might even, they might be on step 3 before someone realizes that, oh, this isn't going to work. And now you got to go redo step 1 and step 2 just to be able to redo step 3 for sure. So it can be a crazy process, but glad you made it. And I'm sure it was all worth it. But let's talk just real quick on, you've been in the industry now for a year and a half. Is that right? Like full time, this is my career for about a year and a half. Has anything changed with the way that you perceive fitness or just the industry? Has anything changed maybe in this past, or maybe even since you started, just in general, things have changed in your time experience, working with a lot of people now, stuff like that?
When it is sales and, you're trying to sell memberships. So anytime you're in sales or working at a retail shop or anything like that, you deal with the public. It's made me just appreciate everybody's journey in the gym for them, because when people, when they sign up, they tell me what their goals are when they're there, and I get really excited.
Sure.
But I also get people, it's just interesting when people come in and maybe we're not the gym for them. And when we first opened, sometimes it would be painful, because you're like, I want people to love my gym. But now, down the road, now I'm not as sensitive about it, because I love all gyms, whether it's Pilates or CrossFit or bodybuilding or any type of gym, people need to find what works for them. So if people come and they're like, well, I like AC.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I used to get like a little butt hurt, you know, when people would come tour the gym and they're like, well, I really like AC. So I think I'm going to go to the gym down the street that has AC. You know, I'd be kind of, you know, I want people to join my gym because I really love it. But now I'm like, you know, everybody has their preferences in a gym. And you know what? Go where it works for you. Because your fitness journey is not going to go well if you're training in a gym
that you're unhappy with.
So now, I think I've evolved there a bit. But now when people join and they tell me their goal, I always ask people like their goals for when they join, and I get so excited.
You should.
I do.
Yeah, that's why you're there.
Yeah.
To help them get more, because sometimes here's the thing about fitness. Most people don't love it all that much. Let's just be very clear about this. You know, we're both in the industry. We love it.
We love it.
Not everyone loves it, right? But it's our job to make them love it as much as they can.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, and that's why we're here talking right now, right? If we can help more people enjoy fitness for as much as they can, right? And then maybe we can help them, instead of thinking about working out where there's not an air conditioner and I have to sweat a little bit and it's going to be so hard. Well, what if we change your perception from, well, you do this today, but tomorrow life's going to feel so easy and you can play with your grandkids when you're 70 and things like that because you stayed fit now.
Yep.
That's our job, is to help them make that correlation and make that connection.
Yeah. And when members initially sign up, the vast majority of my membership is just locals who want to improve themselves. I do have, like I said earlier, a handful of competitors, and I do have, you know, non-competitors who are serious gym goers and lifters. But most of my members are people who join and they're like, I just want to be healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to get better. And especially the women who join and they're kind of like, well, I don't really know how to use all these machines. And they ask me about trainers, but they're also like, well, I'm not sure I want to do a trainer yet. It's, you know, are you able to help me? I'm like, absolutely. If you come work out when I'm here, just come grab me. I have members come to the desk and they're like, I'm not sure what I want to work out today. I was like, okay, well, what'd you work out yesterday? Or try to get an idea of what they already worked out. And they're like, well, maybe I think I want to train arms today. I'll write them a little workout.
Cool.
And I'll walk them through it. I'll make sure they know how to use the machines. And I make sure they're an expert at the machine by the time I'm done showing it to them. And I just help people at least get started. And I tell them, like, keep this workout because you can do it again later. You know, this is how you learn and remember movements. So I try to make any of the new members comfortable in starting their journey with us. Because, I mean, we've all been there at some point, walking into a gym and not knowing what to do or who to talk to. Or so I love being that for the new members who are starting their fitness journey.
Yeah, it's so important to give people somewhere where they can start and feel comfortable. And I want to just say that it's very admirable, I guess would be the better way to say it, of you to understand that not every gym is right for every person.
Yep.
As long as they do something, as long as Pilates, awesome. You want to go spin? Great.
Yeah.
You want to do yoga? Amazing. You like weights? Awesome. All these things are great. People just need to move more, eat a little better, and keep that body moving, and you know, life will usually go better for them. Yeah. So I think that's just such a great thing.
Yeah.
Let's start future plans. Like, what's the plans? You've been open for a year and a half now. Like, what's next? Do you have plans for more? What's your personal versus the gym? Like, we can talk about all that stuff. I'm just curious, what's in the future for you, Erin, and then also in the future for Species Texas City?
The future for the gym, more equipment. We still have a lot of space. I have a running list of equipment I want to get in there. We want to build out our second floor.
That's right. You mentioned that.
Yeah. Get that done. It'll be a great perk for the members. Just continuing to bring in really great equipment for the members is really the goal for the gym. Just constantly improving. That's one of the really nice things about all the species gyms. The other species locations, it is a policy to pay attention to what machines are not getting used. And if it's not getting used, you find something better, or find the same machine in a better version. It's constantly. I learned that from my coach. Just cycle the equipment if it's not getting used.
So you're constantly searching for equipment, pretty much.
Oh yeah, I'm constantly researching.
That's cool.
Now we haven't been open quite long enough to. Most of our equipment, it's all being used, but I pay attention to the pieces where I'm like, I don't see this one getting used as much, or maybe there might be a version that I would like to replace it with. I don't want to be stagnant in our equipment.
Oh, sorry, I just had one question about the equipment. Do you have a most used and least used that you can think of right now?
Good question.
A most used and a least used. I'm not sure. I mean, the men love the chest pieces, so everybody's always on
pec deck fly.
Yeah,
Like the plate loaded or pin loaded are more popular.
I would say most of our machines that are getting used is the plate loaded. Yeah. We have a lot of pin loaded ones as well. The least used, I don't know, honestly.
The squat rack.
Actually, the teenagers love the squat racks.
That's good. I'm glad they're in there.
Awesome.
They should be.
I had to get more squat racks.
Wow, that's good. That's a good problem.
After we opened, I got 2 more squat racks because they were getting used so much. So that I don't use the squat racks.
No,
I was 6'2". I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
I have such a long femur. I have the worst.
Like to hack squat?
I love the hack
That's
squat.
What I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed because that I mostly go to Crunch and then our gym, and they did an expansion recently at Crunch, and one of the most used machines randomly is I think it's Cybex T-bar row. And it just plate loaded T-bar row. And I'm like, every time I go over there, there's someone on it. I'm like, God damn it, get out of here. I didn't think that was going to be something that was super popular, but man, I'm like, they should have got 2 or 3 of these. This thing is super, super popular.
We got a new machine that the members are really loving. I've never seen it in a gym, and I got lucky with it. There was this little powerlifting gym in Galveston that shut down. The owners were moving to Arizona or something. It's called the Westside Inverse Curl. It's a hamstring machine.
Oh, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, I had never seen one in gym. I'd never used one. I had seen it in videos. I was like, oh.
Is that the Louis Simmons, right? It's is it also called a reverse hyperextension? Is that what it is?
So you know how if you're on the ground and your ankles are secured and you lower yourself.
Nordic curl.
Oh, the Nordic curl.
Is that the word?
Nordic curl is the body weight version.
So this machine, it's plate loaded to support you on your chest. There's a pad. Mm-hmm. So like me, who has really weak hamstrings, I have to load quite a few plates on there to help me go down and come back up. And
okay. I'm thinking of something different. I'd like to see this.
It's called the Westside Inverse Curl.
Okay.
And it is absolutely amazing on the hamstrings. And I've never seen it in a gym before. And I'd seen it on YouTube, and I was like, I gotta have that. It's very expensive machine.
Sure, yeah.
But I got one for a very affordable price from this couple in Galveston. It was crazy. They sold all their equipment except that. They had serious gyms come look at all their equipment. They're like, I don't even know what this is.
That's why no one bought it probably.
Yeah. And the owners were like, this is an amazing machine, and nobody would buy it because they had no idea what it was or didn't know how great it was. And I was like, oh, I know.
Yeah,
load it up, baby.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I'm very excited to have
that's
machine.
the thing about these machines. They are expensive, and so it's very difficult sometimes to justify, getting these pieces of equipment. But at the end of the day, everything is for the members and the clients, right? So
we do our best to members give me requests like, hey, you think you can get one of these? And I'm like, I'll add it to the list. No guarantee if we'll get it or when but I take members suggestions to account because it's for them. So
yeah, very cool. What about yourself? Do you have any future plans for yourself personally?
Oh gosh, that's actually an emotional topic. I get a lot of members asking, are you going to compete again? And because I got my pro card in 2020 and I did my first pro show in 2021 and that was it. And I would like to do another pro show. And I thought maybe I could do one at the end of next year. But to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back on stage. It's a mixture of things. My training is not quite as on point as I would like it to be because I train when I'm on the hours. I'm the only employee at the gym.
Oh.
So I run the gym.
27,000 square feet. We got one person.
Yeah.
We got one.
I train. Yeah. I train when I'm on the clock, and so I get pulled away a lot.
Sure.
So, you know, people walk in, the members are priority and potential members are priority. So I have to constantly pay attention. Somebody's walking in, go give tours, sign people up. So it's really common for if I get pulled away for 20, even 30 minutes away from my workout, by the time I go back to my workout, I'm so cold. I'm just like, I'll just jump into cardio.
Yeah, I understand that.
And it's hard to, I'm supposed to be training really intensely. And it's hard to have an intense mindset when I'm also paying attention to the cameras on my phone at the front desk. You know, is somebody walking in? So I would say my training it's not what it used to be when I was training with my coach. And I can, a lot of people, they look at me, they're like, oh, you look amazing. You have so much muscle. And I'm like, you should have seen me at my peak. Yeah. And I just don't know if I want to get on stage not improved. What
is the timeline on an employee to help you out?
I think we're a ways away from us. I do have a part-time guy who's able to pick up for me on occasion.
As needed, like if you have something going on.
Yeah, as needed. He wants to work for me. I plan on hiring him eventually. We're just not ready to hire yet. But I have him for as needs basis on occasion. But yeah, so
is that the only reason though? Is that the only reason? If there's more, you don't have to talk about it. To compete again? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, there's other there's other reasons. I would say competing's expensive, man.
Yeah,
to do it right.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I bet it is.
I've heard it's very pricey.
I had thought about if I was going to compete at the end of next year, come January 1st, it's go into serious off season. Mm-hmm. And to do it right, I have to get my gear. I have to get a massage every week. That to me, doing it right, when you're putting on that amount of size and muscle and you're training intensely, you get a massage every single week. And I did that as a bodybuilder. Every week, massage therapist came to my apartment.
Okay.
And that's probably the most expensive part. If you're looking at a year long, training and prep, you're looking at, even before tip, $120 a week for your massage therapist. And then the food, and then when you get paying your coach for diets, and then going into prep, a show is expensive as far as you pay for the tanning and the trip and the registration. And it's an extremely, extremely expensive sport. So I don't even know if I'm going to be where I need to be to financially to compete next year. Cause everything that I have just goes to the gym.
Sure. Yeah.
Just constantly improving it. And
you're just 100% on this one thing.
Yeah.
Which is the only way to make a business successful.
Yeah, I have to be. I have to be completely focused on making the gym the best it can be. And basically I am put on hold. But I'm realizing at my age, the longer I put myself on hold, I don't know. It's because I could compete as a masters competitor, because I'm about to turn 38, which is up there for a competitor, because the young women, man, they're amazing looking.
Yeah.
If I did a show, I would have to go into it knowing I'm doing it for my gym and my members to see me compete. I shouldn't really do it I'm not going to try to make the Olympia stage or anything like that. I would like to do it for my members, but at the same time, I don't want to get on stage looking worse than I worse,
right,
or not improved, because that was a policy between me and my coach, always look better. And I'm just not sure if I would, because when I competed before, I was training with my coach in the gym 5 days a week.
Personally,
personal training with him. And it was intense training, very intense. And I can train intensely to a point, but it's still not what it was training with him.
You have this group of new bodybuilders in your gym. How do you feel about, and you've probably already thought about this, so it just popped into my head. Cause I'm very much like this now, where I take I get a lot of joy from pouring whatever thing that I want to do into other people. Like when I started running, I was like, Sean, let's do this thing. Like Sean started running, the gym, everyone, Mondo started running, Justin started, I find joy in putting that in. So have you thought about just taking that competitive spirit of competition bodybuilding and just pouring that into these members that you have that are doing
like for their bodybuilding journeys?
Yeah. And just pour yourself into them. And that's how you get your competitive fulfillment. Yeah.
That's pretty much, where I'm at right now. Yeah. I love watching our competitors, the ones that are new to it. They'll pull me aside. Like, can we do some posing real quick? And they want me to go over posing with them. And they'll ask me maybe for a training session, stuff like that. And I love it. That's where I am, where I'm getting my satisfaction at this point.
Exactly.
But I will say the thought of not competing again, it makes me teary-eyed. Like, cause I was not one of the competitors who was like a prodigy. There's women and men who they do a state show, they win their first state show, they go to nationals, and they just immediately get their pro card. They
have the genetic potential and all sorts of background reasons, right?
Yeah, and they're just amazing. It took me, I can't remember. I didn't earn my pro card, I think, until my 7th national show. It was a long journey, and it wasn't because I wasn't training hard. I think we were doing everything right, and I'm not placing blame on my height. My height was actually an advantage in a lot of ways, but as 6'2", it was challenging to make me look full on stage. And my coach, we wanted me to look fuller because, let me back up. It was challenging to get me conditioned where you're seeing all the striations and whatnot and looking full. I needed to look big because I'm so tall. If I wasn't full, I would look skinny basically, because my muscle heads are so long. A girl who's like 5'2" walking on the stage, just relaxed, her muscle heads are so short, she looks huge.
She looks bigger than,
And me, I look stringy.
That's a good word. Stringy. I said skinny. Stringy is a good word.
Stringy is the word. And so there's always an issue of, if I was too conditioned to show, the judges would tell me, you need to look bigger and fuller. And then I'd come bigger and fuller, but I wasn't as conditioned. And it was this game my coach had to play with my body. But what was really interesting, that my coach thought that I had an advantage with, and we heard this from some, my pro show with because it was like played live and you have the speakers talking about each athlete coming out. When I walked out on stage, I wasn't impressive looking just when I'm walking out, because I just looked stringy. But when I hit my shot, it was like, wow. It was like, I wasn't expecting that. And the commentators at my pro show said that. They're like, we weren't expecting that, seeing her walk out on stage. So it was kind of an interesting advantage. Maybe not even an advantage, but just something kind of cool to be unsuspecting.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love it in all aspects.
Boom, how about that?
Yeah. I think that's a great thing. Like even, I'm a big into fitness and finance, or my health and wealth kind of thing, and so something that I've learned in personal training, the cool thing about personal training is you get to work, personal training is, your people are usually not always affluent, but they're doing all right. Right. And so you do get to work with affluent people often. Yep. the best ones, like they don't feel the need to show it off. So I'm just like, I'm kind of making that connection from what you said. You know, the people that have the most don't feel like they need to flaunt it. So it's kind of a similar situation. You're just kind of relaxed, kind of walking, but then boom, like just like you said, you know. So I think that's a really cool thing. But no, I think so for you, the main focus is the gym. Sounds like you're 100% there. You're the only employee in 27,000 square feet. That's crazy. But you're there Monday through Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah. Our members have 24-hour access, keep fob access. We have staff hours when I'm there. I'm just there during staff hours, but I am members, if you're watching this, I am ever watchful on those cameras.
Very funny. Yeah. And we have those cameras too. I maybe don't, but we're staffed all the time, right? So for the most part, and our client base doesn't really work out like late at night and stuff like that. So not as much to worry about, but I do check those cameras every once in a while.
I'll go back and look. We have security cameras all throughout the gym, but what I pay attention to is the ring, like who's coming in and out. And it's funny with the members. It's a very rare occasion, but a member might be like, oh, what can I get away with? You know, can I sneak my friend in? And because I explain the guest process to our members. Hey, if you bring a guest and I'm not here, you bring them up to the desk. They have to sign a waiver, and pay our day pass fee. And the members are responsible for their guests. You make sure they do that. On a rare occasion, you know, somebody will be like, what can I get away with? And then I text them. I'm like, hey.
Oh, got caught.
Hey, so who was the guy that was with you? They're like, oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. Like, you know, we have a guest policy, and it's funny. Teenagers, they like, you know, the teenagers always love to push those boundaries. The teenagers are the ones I really put my foot down on.
Yeah, you should, you can, and you should.
Yeah, like, because I have to be serious with it. If they do something wrong, I'm much more stern. To make sure they know I'm serious.
Have you ever had anyone do it a second time after the warning?
No.
Would you cut them if that happened?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I tell them. I'm like, look, if you do this again, you're gone.
Yeah.
It's a major violation of policy.
Yeah.
So
you should have something in the contract that says, you know, like actually give them like a physical like repercussion, you know, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, you know, I'll text people like, hey, like, this policy was violated or anything. A lot of people will be like, oh, so what's the violation fee? Like they're used to that at gyms. Like, okay.
Violation fee, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I've never
heard of that.
Never heard of that. I don't know if this is a thing at gyms or even like payment, like late payments. Is there a late fee? I'm like, no, I just, you know, just let me know. Do you have a new credit card we need to update or whatever? I'm like, I'm not going to charge you a late fee.
Right.
Well,
something that I've noticed, and then after this we can kind of wrap up, but something that I've noticed for sure is that unfortunately gyms and our industry in general somewhat has a bad reputation for stuff like that.
Yeah.
They have a bad reputation for not letting people cancel, getting charged when they don't want to. Yeah. And stuff like that. And I try to be really clear with our clientele, and it sounds you probably do as well. Hey, this is the protocol. It's all about communication for us. Yeah. You just let me know, like, hey, I'm not opposed to anything that you need, whatever extra help you need, something, especially if it's financial, people get kind of weird with money, right? But just tell me, just talk to me, communication, and we'll handle it for you.
And I try to make things easy on everybody. We don't do contracts unless if you want to pay for a year up front, you can. We have deals for that and stuff, but 30 days notice to leave is all we need. And I try to ask a lot of questions when members sign up, because we have the plants in Texas City. So we get a lot of contractors, and anytime a member signs up, and I recognize he's a contractor, I ask him a little bit about his job. As soon as he tells me, he's like, I'm just in town for a month. I'm like, oh, okay, wait. I have a better policy for you. Instead of paying the first month and the sign-up fee, the cheaper option is just, if you just pay this amount for the 4 weeks, you don't have to give 30 days notice, and there's no sign-up fee. Because our membership is $35 a month, and then you have a $35 sign up fee. So when you sign up, you're looking at $70. But if you're just in town for 4 weeks, like you're a contractor, I'm just here in town for this project, $55. And like,
you don't have to worry about the cancellation policy or getting billed any type of automatic billing or anything like that.
Yeah, you'll get your key fob, and it just makes it easier on them, and it's less expensive. I try to give people like the more affordable options that works for them. I'm not a leech. I'm not like, it's not even give me that sign up fee.
Yeah, it's not even about affordability. It's more about you are actually doing the best thing for the person in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. Which is our obligation to do, in my opinion.
More like flexibility rather than just like
give people options.
Yeah, exactly.
We want people, what I always tell everyone, we don't do contracts either. People can do contracts if they want to, and they get a discount. Very similar to what you're saying, but it's not mandatory. And when people ask that, and the reason that I do it the way that we do is I don't want anyone here that doesn't want to be here.
Exactly.
If you don't want to be here, trust me, we don't want you here either. All right. We want to build a good culture and a good community of people that want to be here improving their life. Right. And that's the best way to do it. But awesome. I mean, this is, do you have anything else you want to input, before we kind of close this thing up?
I'm so glad you had me.
Yeah, me too. This is super fun. Do you want to share where the gym, phone number, email, any information you want to share about the gym directly?
Yeah, Species Gym in Texas City. You can look us up on Instagram, Facebook. Those are probably like the best ways to like really see some photos and videos of our members, and you can get in touch with us through those venues. But 24-hour access. Come check us out.
Yeah, down in Texas City.
Yeah.
Me and Sean know about that.
Yeah,
if you have any questions about how to get there, we can help you out too. All right, guys. Sean, anything else you want to input? Questions before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm all good. I'm really happy to have you on, though. It was a good time.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. All right, guys, we're out of here.
All right. Peace out.